Hey, today I'm making some cables to attach inputs into a Blackrock data acquisition system, and they're BNC inputs, and we were using these BNC adapters, but I've been having trouble with the reliability, and I've tried 3 different vendors, sources, and they all seem to sell the same thing, and they have a bad ground connection, intermittent. And so I've decided to instead use the old standby Amphenol. This is a 31-320-RFX. It's a crimp-on BNC, and it's for RG58. And this is a 50 ohm connector. I called Blackrock to find out, since they don't publish the data on the what the BNC connector should be, whether they're 75 ohm or 50. They didn't really know offhand, but they looked into it and they got back to me and they said they're 50 ohm connectors. And so, also I was looking at the Blackrock. I noticed that the ground or the shield of the BNC inputs is separated from each other by 200 ohms. So it doesn't actually go to ground. So what I'm going to do, I'm using a 2-conductor twisted pair with a shield, overall shield. I'm going to use the overall shield as an isolated shield and not connect that into the Blackrock ground. Optionally, we can do that if we want to, but we also have the option of grounding it from a different grounding location. And that'll just give you more flexibility if you end up having some noise issues. The thing you definitely don't want to do is have the shield be part of the conductor of the signal. And the problem that was going on with this, the ground being opened by 200 ohms, separated by 200 ohms from the other one, when the ground would go intermittent open, it would change the signal level. And I don't really know by how much yet, because I've also asked for the schematic of the Blackrock inputs to see if I can figure out, what the impedance is and what kind of loading it has on the inputs, whether they be analog or digital. And they don't really publish anything like that I've found, and I'm waiting on them to get back to me on that. But I'm going to go ahead and, I don't really do this very often, but I'm going to install a twisted pair onto a BNC connector. And we'll get started on that, and I think it'll be much more reliable than this product here. So the first thing I'm going to do is strip the jacket back, and I want quite a bit to work with. I always try to make the cables extra long so you have the flexibility if you need to do something. So this is a foil with a stranded conductor, open uninsulated braid. So it's actually got 3 conductors. And I strip it a lot so I can get a long drain wire here to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a heat shrink on that. And this will go into a banana connector there. And then I've got this heat shrink here. It's going to go over everything. I'll go ahead and put that on. It's a good idea to put this stuff on now before you forget it later. We got that going. And now here's the connector. 31-320-RFX. These are really nice. I like Amphenol products a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and put the crimp-on ring here. This is not, I don't think I've ever actually done this before. I usually put this on a coax, but I'm going to go ahead and try it now on this. And so I want to keep this wire here kind of short. So I'm going to cut that about right in there. Here we go. Okay, so I had to regroup a little bit. Crimping this is too small. The diameter is too small, so I've got a filler wire I'm going to use to build up the diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and load the pin and the crimp tool. And I've got, I can put in the center conductor here. And also put in a filler. So I've got both wires in as far as I can get them. I'm go ahead and crimp. And I'm checking to see if I can pull it out. I'm happy with that. That's a tight crimp. So now I'm going to trim the filler wire off. And now I can go ahead and install it into this BNC. You push it in and click. So I'm going to use a screwdriver to click it in. And make sure I've got my ferrule, crimp ferrule on here first. That goes around the outside here. So you push it in, you hear it click, and you know it's in there. And so you can see my my drain is not touching here, but I'm going to use this black wire, and I'm going to cut that about right there, I guess. Strip that away. And I want the black wire to be shorter than the red wire. If there's any strain on the connector, I want it to be pulled on this wire and not the center pin that's crimped in. It's a little more trouble than just terminating a BNC. And so now I'm going to just wrap that around a few times. And then crimp it. And I've got a little wire hanging out. I'm going to trim that too. And so what I want to do is make sure that my foil shield doesn't touch. There we go. So I've got the, now all I need to do is slide on the heat shrink and get it over that wire. And I'm going to slide that down there. And this I've got a ferrule for this too. There we go. Got a 2-conductor twisted pair, and it's terminated into the BNC. And I've got a drain wire here, a shield. This is for the shielding of the cable. And I like to put a ferrule on it to keep it from fraying. I'll crimp that. And so now that can go into the banana jack. And there it is, it's done.